It's impossible to track someone
if they keep changing who they are at every location.
And that's exactly what this phone does. Cellular providers, organizations, and hackers use 3 elements to build your digital profile and track you.
They use the ad ID, which is how advertisers track your activity. They use the IMEI number, which is a set of 15 character numbers that identifies the type of phone that you have. And they use the IMSI number. Now, this is a unique number that is used by the cellular providers, and it's used to authenticate your device to be able to use their network. But watch what you can do with this phone. Right, you fire up the Cape app on the phone and it looks pretty blank because the first thing we want to do is create a persona. Now, a persona is essentially a profile, and to each profile you can actually allocate its own unique information. So in this case, I'm going to choose an IMSI number for this profile, and I'm going to choose an IMEI number, which essentially what is this going to pretend to be, an LG V20 as an example. And then I'm going to allocate it an advertising ID. So whenever this profile is used, this is the information that people are going to be able to technically track. Now let's go add another profile, another persona. This one is going to call it meeting. And again, I'm allocating IMSI, IMEI, and an ad ID. Now I have 2 profiles on my device. And that means I can rotate between the profiles. If anybody's tracking me on the one location, as soon as I rotate, well, basically I'm a new person. But it gets even better. Let me create another profile called airports. And now what I do is I go to the geofencing. And this is where it gets ridiculously cool. I can choose any place on a map. I can choose a polygon or a circle. Here, this is the DFW airport. I'm going to click into it. I'm going to then draw my circle, give it a diameter in miles, how many miles around the airport. In this case, it's 2.5 miles. And what I do is I'm going to assign it a persona. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to choose my airport persona, which remember, it's got a new IMSI, a new IMEI number, and a new ad ID. Then I'm just going to simply give it a name, something that I'll recognize for later on, DFW Airport as an example, and I click on the save button and confirm it. So if somebody is tracking my location, as soon as I hit within the 2.5 mile radius of the DFW Airport, I'll automatically get a new IMSI number, a new IMEI number, and a new ad ID. So I'm going to be seen as a completely different person and no longer be able to get tracked. And I can repeat this multiple times, creating multiple geolocations based on where I'm going and what I'm doing. Okay, but how do we know that it actually works and just doesn't show you pretty graphics on the screen? Well, there's actually a way to test it. So here I have my persistent persona, which is basically the one that I use constantly. I can go to my phone information, and then you can see the IMEI number is 9519 and the IMSI number ends in 2623. Now, let's go back to the Cape app. Let's switch the persona and let it kind of reset and rotate. And then let's go back to the phone information. You can see, there we go. IMEI number has been updated to 6792 and the IMSI number is now 2853. So it works. This is some next level anti-tracking privacy stuff. This device is specifically made for those in governments or those high profile individuals who may be targeted or under surveillance. But let's be honest, that is not 95% of us. So how do we get something that is close to this level of protection? Well, the company that provides this device is called Cape, and they built an entire mobile carrier that prioritizes privacy and security. And they're also the sponsors of today's video. They do not collect your data and they don't sell it, unlike other providers. Even on their website, where it normally has a cookie notification, it says this website doesn't use cookies, because we mean it when we say we track less. And this is what they mean. Right, this is the Cape app on a regular Android phone or an iOS phone. I'm using an Android version of this. And the first thing it tells me is, look, this is what it's going to cost. This is unlimited privacy, enhanced signal protection, SIM swap protection, anonymous sign up, and cancel at any time. So I'm going to choose a new phone number. And I'm going to be able to select where do I want that phone number to be. And in my case, I'm going to choose New York. And then I can choose an area code. And it gives me, obviously, only the New York-based codes.
Okay, let's move on. And now I want to read the terms and condition. And no, it's not a 9,000 page document. It's pretty clear that you can see we will never sell your personal data to any third party. You can cancel at any time, transparent about data collections, etc. So I click on pay now, I obviously enter my credit card details, and now I'm ready to activate my CAPE services. Now, the next screen is, you will see a 24 words on the next page. This is the recovery passphrase. Let me show you what that's about. I have here 24 different words. Obviously, I'm blurring them out because this is super important for the safety of my account, but there's 24 words in here. And on the next screen, it basically wants to make sure that you've written them down. So you got to play this little game of putting the right words in the right spot because everything revolves around this passphrase. Once you go through that, you're ready to activate your eSIM and you're ready to use the service.
So, what just happened? Well, the first thing you would have noticed was that 24 keywords. This is where the real magic comes in. CAPE has built their own mobile cloud native core, which is like the central nervous system of a network. The core controls everything and manages all the complexity of connecting people, moving across the networks, across nodes, across operators, and across countries. And since the entire system was built with security first and implemented by expert-vetted cryptography and security protocols, it means it's a secure system. Even their internal processes are encrypted. So, that unique 24 words is actually your passphrase. It's the only way for you to verify your account and ensures that nobody can hack into your account or steal your phone number. But we'll get onto that shortly. Think of it like a password manager. Only you know the master password to unlock your password manager and see your passwords. Even the company that provides the password manager services cannot access your own password. It is that secure. Same thing here. If you want to move your CAPE account from one phone to another, as an example, only you can do it by knowing your passphrase. If you lose that passphrase, you cannot get CAPE to reset it or issue a new one. And why is this super important? Because it prevents one of the biggest issues when it comes to fraud and scams, which is SIM swaps. Look, as much as the networks are trying to stop cyber criminals from getting their hands on your phone number to get your one-time PIN from your bank and to take over your phone calls, we know that cyber criminals are literally sending out text messages to staff working at cellular companies, offering them up to $300 to do a SIM swap. So we have seen a massive rise in SIM swap attacks. In fact, the FBI has dealt with millions and millions of dollars worth of losses due to SIM swaps. In 2021, that number of losses jumped to $68 million, and in 2022, losses totaled nearly $73 million. So this is a big issue. With CAPE, even if the cyber criminals offered their staff buckets and buckets of money to do a SIM swap, they simply cannot. The entire system is designed so that only you can do it with that 24-word passphrase. Now, the second thing that you would have noticed when we set up the CAPE service is that you can position your phone to be in any state. So that gives you an additional layer of location protection, as the phone number that you hand out doesn't tie back into where you actually live. And the third thing that you would have noticed is that we didn't have to sign up with our home address, nor did we have to use our ID or even an email address. The only info we completed, which of course I didn't show on camera, was filling in my credit card information. But even that isn't stored with CAPE. They use Stripe tokenization process, intentionally splitting the customer data between their payment gateway and the CAPE internal business system. This is critical. Currently, when we all sign up with our current cellular provider, we had to give them a whole bunch of information, including a government issue ID, our home address, email, and a whole bunch of other personal information just to get that SIM card activated. So now, we have to trust that that provider will keep all our info safe and secure, which they do, right? Well, they try. They keep getting hacked and leaking our data repeatedly. I mean, look at this. AT&T got hit in March of 2024, which affected 7.6 million users and about 65.4 million former customers when sensitive data was leaked onto the dark web. And then they got hit again in the same year in July, a couple of months later, where data from 109 million customer accounts containing records of calls and text was illegally downloaded to a third-party cloud platform. And then in October of 2024, a couple of months later, AT&T was one of at least 8 major US cellular providers that were targeted by Chinese hackers identified as Salt Typhoon. 2024 was not a good year for AT&T. But it's not just AT&T either. February of 2024, Verizon had an internal breach where somebody from their staff gained access to a file containing a whole bunch of sensitive information. In October, same year, the Verizon push-to-talk platform was actually breached. And there were incidents at T-Mobile and incidents at a whole bunch of other providers too. So, whilst these carriers are trying to protect our data, clearly, there are issues. With CAPE, the data collection is limited only to what is necessary to provide its service. CAPE does not use data to profile its users, and it doesn't sell user data. Unlike other mobile carriers who may sell and pull client data, making it a major part of their business model. Want to see just how much data is collected and sold by these providers? Check this out.
Now, if this doesn't piss you off, I don't know what will. Look at just how much data is being collected about us all the time. Look at the level of detail that is currently happening. And of course, you can pause this video and you can look at each category. I'm also going to link to this in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. But this is the kind of stuff that really, really pisses me off because we don't know that it's happening, and yet it certainly does, and it's been sold all the time.
I mean, it's so bad that the FCC actually fined Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T $200 million for sharing customer location data. But wait, there is more. We're only getting started, and this is why I love working with CAPE. CAPE doesn't sell your data as it doesn't collect it. It's impossible to do a SIM swap without knowing your 24th passphrase. So, what about a network level attack? I mean, what is CAPE doing so that hackers cannot intercept your phone calls or your text messages, like what happened here with Linus?
This is Linus from Linus Tech Tips, and we hacked the phone network in order to spy on him. We intercepted his phone calls and stole his two-factor passcodes. This new protocol was called Signaling System Number 7, or SS7 for short, and it's still broadly in use today. But it may not be as secure as people thought. What's crazy is that we exploited these vulnerabilities, and I'm just a YouTuber, but I'm surprised at how easy it all is. Now imagine if I had the backing of a government.
Now, I'm going to have a link to the video below. It's definitely worth checking out. You see, we have to remember that cellular providers grew over years by buying out smaller companies and integrating their technology. As an example, T-Mobile bought Sprint and Metro PCS, and more recently they bought Mint Mobile. So they had to deal with all that legacy tech and make it all kind of work together. But what's exciting is what CAPE has done to mitigate against this is remove the legacy 2G and 3G architecture. So the footprint is much, much smaller. They also have another method which can ensure that your phone is indeed in the right country. So if a rogue connection tries to capture your phone calls or your text messages from another country, it simply won't be allowed on their network. Now, to be very, very clear, CAPE doesn't protect you at the phone level. In other words, it cannot stop apps that you install from leaking your data. If you purposefully downloaded some cracked software that is full of malware that steals your information from your phone, don't blame CAPE. It's just like you cannot blame your internet service provider if you got hit by ransomware because you ignored the antivirus and now your system is pretty screwed. But I will say that CAPE does give you an additional layer of protection because it rotates your IP address and heavily restricts what is shown to others when you land on their webpage or interact with their ads.
So I'm using my T-Mobile at the moment. You can see here's my IP address, my location is Dallas, and my service provider is T-Mobile. Now, I'm swapping over to the Cape services and I'm going to rerun that website and reload it. You can see the IP address has changed, the location has changed, and so has the internet service provider. So there's some protection. So, knowing all of this, should you switch over to Cape? Well, we can all agree that this lack of control over our own privacy and our own data has kind of gotten out of hand. Yes, we can change our email to use a secure email system. Yes, we can use passkeys. Yes, we can use a privacy browser. And yes, we can install Graphene OS, but all of those things are on the device. Up until now, we didn't have an option for a privacy-focused cellular provider, so we lost all control the second our phones connect to the nearest tower. And all of that has now changed thanks to Cape. I have been using Cape service for over a month now, and I have not dropped a call once, nor have I lost data connectivity at any time. From a pure user point of view, it's like having any other cellular provider, but with the benefits of having it all based around privacy. No data collected or sold, and because of that passphrase, nobody can do a SIM swap behind my back. So, if you also want this level of privacy and control, I have a link in the description and you're welcome to check and verify everything that I've showed you. And whilst you're at it, please stop apps from leaking your data. Check out how to do that right over here. And if you want to know about the worst cellular hack in US history and why Cape is the perfect solution, check this video out right over here. Give the video a quick like before you head out by clicking the thumbs up button, and I'm going to see you in this video, or this video, or I'll see you in both. Let's go.